have in the Western Sahara is the interest, is the minerals of the people of Western Sahara. It is in our eyes and in the eyes of President Zuma, one country. And we are seeing exactly the same pattern here in South Africa with those who support Cape exit, whereby this country now, the Western Cape, we all know there are minerals that have been discovered in this area. That's why the racist people of the Western Cape and some racist political parties are pushing an agenda whereby the Western Cape is going to be excised or taken out of the Republic of South Africa. So it is a similar thing that was done to Morocco and the province that I'm referring to in Morocco. Western Sahara.
Yeah.
Thank you. So my comments should be understood in that context. Maybe if any one of us needs to add anything, by all means. But please don't ask us about the money that was allegedly brought into Morocco. We don't know anything about it. Please go and ask Mr. Shivambu about that. He who alleges must prove.
Yeah.
Thank you very much.
Also, guys, if you go to the Umkhonto weSizwe online organization page, you are going to find that they have the Morocco partnership on their page. Was Floyd correct? Was Floyd correct? Why do they have the Morocco partnership?
Lento Zuma namhlanje ayijikayo eMorocco eyothengisa idabi ngenxa yokuthi mhlambi khona into ayifunayo ejika and all of that. Ndizawunicacisela apha ukuthi uMandela zanga trainwe eMorocco, wa trainwe eAlgeria. Lento uZuma xa kapha eyozicengezela for whatever he wants and selling out, he changes our revolution and our solidarity into something else.
Mashiane Politically Incorrect. There's always a difficulty in trying to understand South Africa's foreign friends, foreign relations, international relations. I've made attempts in the past, of course, and I spoke to a few people, but I remember I spoke to Comrade Abner Musase, and with Abner we spoke about a lot of things, but I remember he touched Morocco. I just want to understand. I remember there were times when Floyd was in trouble. There were comrades who were quoting, for example, they quoted Bushiri's links with Israel. So this is a stance that MK had. And I don't know if it's official or not. It's very difficult to tell official things with MK. But I do know that MK, the president, have good relations with the government of Morocco. But I do not understand how it works. And I know you guys want to blame me, but I can say everything. And that's why I ask. And this is why the platform, what we want to do in the platform is when we don't understand, we ask people. And so we're going to go back to Comrade Abner. So Comrade Abner is a foreign relations specialist who has in the past assisted us. So I'm going to try to get hold of him. Maybe he'll paint a good picture for us of what is this and what does it mean. Let's go ahead and see. We hosted him. Comrade Abner Dumel. The country is confused. Some in our country are very angry that our flag has been used And some are asking, who are these Sahrawi people? Ke bo mang, these people who were partly Spanish and then they were left and Morocco came back to claim them. And I do understand that you did paint a picture the last time you were here, but I just want us to maybe to talk about it again in relation, of course, to the stance people are saying when Jacob Zuma was with the South African government and the African National Congress. There's a certain stance that he took and that was favorable against Morocco. And now that he is with MK party, that stance seems to have shifted. Is it money, as Floyd Shivambu has alleged to? I'm going to let it so you could just start anywhere you want to start as you educate us on this matter.
Okay. No, thank you very much. Let me start by saying that the stance of the ANC, even when Jacob Zuma was the president, has always been clear that the people of Western Sahara must determine their destiny by way of their referendum that must be called, which is also a UN resolution that there must be a referendum in the area, so that the people can determine their self-determination. I think that position is a long-standing position that has always been there, the principle of the referendum. And as a result of this, there was something instituted called the MINUSO. MINUSO is the United Nations Missions to Western Sahara, which is the UN mission tasked with establishing the possibility of doing that referendum. And it has been shown over time that it has been difficult to have that referendum because of the nomadic nature of that area. People move up and down a lot in that area, so they don't know who's who there. Others, the same day, they're in Morocco, they're in Western Sahara, they're traveling to Spain. There's nobody knows who's who. The register is difficult to compile even the register because of the nomadic nature of the region. So then the UN, through the MINUSO process, introduced several special envoys to Western Sahara. One of them is called the Baker mission. So there's been 3 Baker reports. Baker 1, Baker 2, Baker 3 discussing this report, and another special envoy whose name I just forgot now. All of them then came to the conclusion that to resolve the issue, there need to be a discussion with Western Sahara, Morocco, as well as Algeria. Because Algeria has been insisting over time that it's an observer on the discussion. But the observation of the special envoys discovered that actually Algeria is an active player in this issue. Without Algeria, this issue won't be resolved. So then this has been established and has been endorsed by the United Nations that Algeria must now sit in the table and discuss. Now there are 2 agenda items on the discussion to resolve the issue of Western Sahara. One is the proposal by Morocco, which is called the autonomy plan, which one of the elements they propose to give Western Sahara autonomy for 5 years with everything, administrative support, security support and everything. And then faith in governments systematically, having observed how the autonomy of the region is observed. Then Algeria refused that in its conversation with the Polisario Front of Western Sahara. It encouraged the Polisario Front to push for what is known as the settlement plan, which is like almost I would say a hardline position to say, hey, give us what's ours and stay out of our territory, this is our territory and all that and all that. So that's where the deadlock is. Now I interpret the visit by President Zuma as saying that he wants to participate in a struggle to free the people of Western Sahara, but in the context of finding a solution between the two proposals. And I think when he was there, I heard Makasela reading the statement, although he leaned more towards the autonomy plan of Morocco, because currently Morocco's autonomy plan is the most elaborate. The settlement plan is just a political statement. It does not have bullet points. We don't know what is in the settlement plan. So, and I'm sure that's why they are pushing for, they decided to back Morocco on the settlement type autonomy plan. Now, on checkbook diplomacy, which is the money issue, we call it checkbook diplomacy in international relations. Now, I don't know how much money does Morocco have to influence so many countries in the continent and in the world. Then they should be extraordinarily rich if they've got that type of amount. But it is generally accepted in political theory, especially within the liberation movement, that Morocco does use checkbook diplomacy. But in 2017, Morocco was reintegrated into the fold of the African Union. And President Zuma was the president of South Africa at that time. And President Zuma was one of the people who was inside the meeting of the heads of state in the precinct of the African Union in Addis Ababa. I happened to be in Ethiopia myself and in the complex during that time. And I remember when the debate unfolded, President Zuma refused for Morocco to come in as a member of the AU. I think Algeria also refused, and President Mugabe was there, he also refused. So there were 3 countries that refused. The rest of the continent were against these 3 countries, which is South Africa, Zimbabwe, and Algeria. All of them said, Morocco, we want to back. And this begs my question of how much more money does Morocco have if it managed to influence out of 54 countries of 55 countries of Africa. You know, they could not only afford 3, which is Algeria, Zimbabwe, and South Africa. So if we speak money terms, then it means it has used a lot of money then to sway the whole continent like that. You know. So that's why I do not want to delve too much on the issues of whether they went there for money or whether it's the money that changed this their viewpoint on that particular issue. So that is basically that. But I must say, after the vote at the AU, President Zuma, unlike President Mugabe and the Algerian delegation there at the AU, he stood in a meeting. He made the U-turn. I think that's something that people are not saying. Immediately, President Zuma saw that they are not winning, they have lost. He stood and said, in South Africa, we believe in the principles of democracy, one of them being the majority rules. And as he observed it, he said, as he observed the discussions that happened there in the AU about the reintegration of Morocco, he has a feeling that everybody overwhelmingly support the integration of Morocco to the AU. And because of that, he then said, I go with the rest of the continent, with the majority of members. South Africa will also support the inclusion of Morocco into the AU. And everybody stood and clapped hands when that took place. So I wouldn't say he rematched. He has already rematched. On the day of voting already. He has already said he will support. But the most important development is this one. It was in 2018 and President Zuma had just been removed by the ANC. And I think after the 2017 conference, then Morocco became was granted full diplomatic status by South Africa. So we upgraded their mission from that of charge to affairs admin level to an ambassador level. And when you do that, by implication, the relations politically, socially, and economically are well between the two countries. So the chapter should have been closed at that point and worked more for a solution towards the resolution of the stalemate between Western Sahara and Algeria as well as Morocco, that's where the conflict is. This conflict is a triumvirate, which is what many people are not saying. It's not a conflict between Western Sahara and Morocco. It's a conflict between Western Sahara, Algeria, and Morocco. It's a triumvirate conflict, and according to the UN reports. So basically, that is where everything is, and I don't want to comment. I've not heard what is the statement of the ANC National Executive Committee. I don't even know if National Executive Committee of the ANC has met to consider if this conduct by Jacob Zuma and others who says they want an autonomy plan to succeed is wrongful or not. But I'm giving my analysis as an international relations expert myself, that this is just an issue of implementation of UN resolution, and is to resolve the issue between autonomy and settlement by wearing factions in that particular area. So yeah, so basically that is that in as far as that is concerned. I did listen to Floyd Shivambu's press conference when he announced that he's going to organize his own movement, and I did hear him saying there are people who went to Morocco, they were promised money or they were given money, stuff like that, and all that, and subsequent to Floyd's pronouncements, they were not shy about it. They continued. They went into Morocco, and then they had these discussions. I saw them on TV with Makasela. The issue of the flag of South Africa there, it's a very dicey one. Normally, because President Zuma is also a former head of state. I don't know how the protocols are on that one. But what I can say is that the host country for them, which will be Morocco, I don't think they would have consulted them. I think as soon as they arrived, they said, we are hosting South Africans who are coming here, even if they come from a political party. So when they land there, they found a flag there. That's what I think would normally happen. You will see that when Bafana plays a soccer tournament in December in Morocco, because they've qualified to go to Morocco for AFCON in December. When Bafana arrives in Morocco, there will also be seen a signage of South African flag, and Bafana will be greeted like that as well. And I saw there was a conference which many South African delegates went to recently in Morocco. I also saw that when they arrived at South African delegations, there was also a flag of South Africa there. But there are many delegations all the time that come from South Africa and go to Morocco. And when they arrive there, they will find the flag of South Africa in Morocco. So that one, I don't think it's an issue that that is so significant as to why was the flag there, because when you are a South African, the flag is yours. You can even travel it, put it in your car, put it in your gate, wear it when you go to another country. I do that myself when I travel. I wear South African scarf, I wear South African paraphernalia. I showcase that I come from South Africa. I don't think that one is neither here nor there, but the protocol experts can come in more handy than I. Let me leave it here for now unless there are follow-up questions.
I don't have any follow-up question. You covered all the questions that I wanted. Thank you very much. I didn't want this to be long. and you covered everything that I want. I don't want to dig deeper, especially because now we are calling on the phone. But I do cross fingers that next time, when we have time, when you are in Pitori next time, let's sit down and talk. I mean, there are more issues than what we're speaking for. What I take as captain for me is the two plans that you advance, the autonomy plan and of course the settlement plan, and I think when I'm going to sit with MK people, these are the issues that I'm gonna sit with. Just for the record, with our viewers, just know that I've been trying, I pursued MK very much, and people directed me to comrade Andile Mkitama, and I'm going to send this to him to say these are the questions that I would have wanted
from the media statement, Makasem Lamzobe introduced himself as the head of international relations as well as the head of the presidency of MK.
Yes.
But I'm sure maybe that's the right.
Yeah. So,
but even Andile Mkitama, they've got their own think tank. But I do know they've also announced when I was watching their parliament on TV that they've got a gentleman there who's a colored gentleman or a Khoisan gentleman. His name is Wesley Datlas. He was also introduced as MK head of international relations in parliament. So that one might even be more appropriate for you to get more, because then if it has got government connotations, flag, state visit and all that, I think Wesley Datlas can respond better. That's just my advice and my habitual observation as the ardent TV watcher.
Yes. No, thank you very much. I will do that. I've been trying. I said to him, if you cannot come, direct me to the person who can. And he said, the spokesperson will do that. But I do understand. But
I also understand why you will find the runarounds with MKP on this issue, because their own statement is predicated upon the fact that MK Mkhonto Wesizwe was formed in Morocco in 1961-62, when Mandela was trained there, right? So which is correct. So there's no lie. So based on the strength of that history, I think they cared less about what are the other facts. So they don't know these things that I have said. The whole MK, I can tell you now. You see, so it's going to be an assignment and a half for them to go and research these things. In the ANC, we've got a well-built commissariat that always research all international issues across the world. But I think maybe with the benefit that they are a new party and they are focusing on power consolidation and all that, this issue is too far-fetched. But I think the statement shows you that they move from the premise and on the strength of the history of Mkhonto Wesizwe, the Liberation Army of the ANC, that it trained Mandela in Morocco, and that is a historical fact. I think they just move from that and they close the debate. I think that's where the problem is. But good luck in reaching them.
No, thank you very much. Let me cross my fingers and I will pursue Wesley Douglas, and with Magazela Mzobe, I'm not very hopeful because maybe I've tried in the past and it looks bleak. But let me tell you, I'm going to try to find out. You know, it's just one of those things. When you pursue and you want to find answers to this, everyone runs around and people start blaming you, how much. But what is it that you want to know from these people? They don't want to talk to you.
Exactly.
But but thank you very much.
But remember the reality of the situation. They are the only party that has broken ground on this, and in the liberation tradition, and spoke about this issue in an unconventional way.
And it's very surprising to a lot of us.
Other parties, in a manner in which other parties are not looking, they are not, and I'm sure many, even in the parties, in the EFF and all that, they were shocked when they heard that actually ANC's first training was in Morocco. I'm sure they had it for the first time, many of comrades from the MKP. So it makes sense that, there will be that element to this. But because they are groundbreaking type of an engagement, you need to find them.
No, I will do that. Thank you very much for all the time you spent with us, Abner.
No, thank you so much.
Thank you. That's Comrade Abner Musasa, very, very, very learned comrade of ours, a friend to the channel. He always imparts his knowledge on these matters. But here's the thing, man. If you heard him, he kind of says when Algeria, Zimbabwe, and South Africa were defeated, when they took a principled stance that says Morocco must not come back. Remember, Morocco had been checked out of African Union, and when they wanted to come back, they were checked out because of issues relating to Western Sahara. And then when they wanted to come back, this hard line by Algeria, of course Algeria is not an objective player here, because Algeria is involved in that Western Sahara issue. And that's why they are going with that hard line of the second of the two plans, the settlement plan. Algeria, Zimbabwe, and South Africa were defeated by the majority of other nations, the way he puts it. And at that point, I don't think he gave us a year, I don't remember, but I think people will go and see. Jacob Zuma admitted that, no, it's fine, we are beaten here, and I come from a country that envisaged democracy, and if Africa wants them back, then we welcome them back, of which is very sound, and we must give credit to Jacob Zuma for having done that, because it doesn't matter what he and his African National Congress through South African government wanted. When they were beaten, he acknowledged that. That's number one. Number two, credit to Jacob Zuma as well. He does say the use of the flag. I mean, we are going to play AFCON there. We are going to be displayed with the South African flag because we are representing South Africa. It's a team. And come to think of it, when South African football teams, they don't represent South Africa like Bafana Bafana and others, they tend to have their flags on them. Look at Olympians when they go represent, even in their personal game. You find other teams, even if they're not representing South Africa, but individual things, whether it's Benny McCarthy who's playing in Europe, they would often wear their gear, and that gear is would be wearing their South African colors. And I think let us give credit to Zuma there for those. But I know what it looks like. It looks like Jacob Zuma did it deliberately to test us. But given what Abner is saying, they knew our South Africans were coming. They hoisted our flag because they are hosting South Africans who are very friendly to them, and they took advantage. Now let's talk about checkbook diplomacy. Will they admit? I doubt they would. I doubt they would admit that they are given money to support Morocco. But like I said, the autonomy plan. Look, I'm not a foreign relations expert, and this is why I do not want to read something in part and then want to come here and regurgitate what I heard as gospel truth. I just want to hear what experts say. And the best one, like he said, he advised me to talk to Wesley Datlas and Mahasela Mzobe. Mzobe is very, I'm not saying Datlas is not. Mzobe is very busy to take such calls because I've tried in the past. Because he's Ubaba's second in command, or he works in the Ubaba's office, as it were. So for him to get him to this podcast to explain about this, I don't know. But like he said, I'm going to try, because both of them are tasked with this very important issue of international relations. Mashiane Politicallyincorrect, I'm just going to drop you a clip of what we discussed with Abner Musasa, when he was sitting here with me. Mashiane Politically Incorrect, Itada.
Ask about what he said about Morocco. Did Morocco give any money to the MK party in exchange for the party's stance in favor of Morocco's position on the Western Sahara dispute? Because he claims that that's what they wanted to do.
Well, another thing is we need to focus on the following. And that's part of the problem that we're faced with an individual that would go and make organizational reports without actually consulting. Remember, before he could even make any organizational reports or any statements leave the organization, especially when it comes to sensitive issues and reports and statements such as that, the president and I are the final decision makers in terms of what goes out of there, of such a sensitive nature. And I recall at that point when he was actually reading in that statement, the organizational report. Prior to that, I had communicated to him to say, we're not going to be talking about the issue of Morocco. The timing for it will be handled at the correct time by the president. But again, because of an arrogant posture that he has, he continued to then go and put the organization into that perspective, into that situation. And these are discussions that we're still having internally to ensure that we then arrive through the International Relations Subcommittee a policy posture before we can even communicate.
Is he the one that drafted the statement on Morocco?
So then the other issue is that he refers to Morocco having drafted the statement and Moroccan embassy. Yeah. We understand, and this is again an unauthorized visit to the Moroccan embassy that he had without leadership knowing. So, and these are things that we need to,
hold on, he went to the Moroccan embassy.
These are things that are coming up that we understand.
But he claims that there are leaders of the MK party who went to Morocco.
The Moroccan embassy is where he went. And this is the thing with the person that we're dealing with. I mean, these are absurd.
To be clear, MK Party has never received money from Morocco.
We've never received money from Morocco. Our responsibility, as we'll share, is to ensure that we have a united front. And we will communicate exactly what our posture is in our discussions.
One of the things he claims was that there were monthly withdrawals of 7 million rand from the party's coffers, money that is being looted. What is the organization doing about that? Will you investigate that?
Well, let me allay our members' fears, number one. Umkhonto is a strong, solid party. We're moving along. I mean, in actual fact...
And clearly, with 7 million rand being looted every month.
Let me tell you what. Umkhonto is the fastest growing political party in this country. Now, no doubt about that. And we are bound to have alien tendencies of individuals who are going to be agents and try and, bring about... alien tendencies that are not cultural to the culture of Umkhonto weSizwe. And such is the case, with what we're finding ourselves in now. The issue of the 7 million that's been bandied about is, which go outside of the party.
We recall that our great leader, former President Nelson Mandela, trained in Morocco, Oujda, in 1962 and received financial and military support that was extended to the liberation movement in South Africa and the continent. This also comes as a natural continuation of the historical meeting President Zuma had with His Majesty King Mohammed V in 2017 during the AU summit in Cote d'Ivoire. That meeting entrenched the new impetus to the bilateral relationship between our two countries, South Africa and Morocco. During this meeting between President Zuma and His Majesty, the two leaders agreed to find ways of ending the stalemate between the two countries and the relaunching of a new chapter of the bilateral relations, resulting in the exchange of ambassadors. The relationship between our two countries has a great potential for greatness. For that reason, the MK Party has put forward a policy position aimed at bringing about practical solution to the long-standing debacle on the future of the Sahara region. The document released by Umkhonto weSizwe is named a Strategic Partnership for African Unity, Economic Emancipation and Territorial Integrity. In this document, our party touched all the essential elements that will conduce a new impetus to the bilateral relations in order to achieve a mutual interest of our two nations while striving to achieve a model of African excellence. Looking at the geopolitics of the world and the agenda of balkanization aimed at weakening our continent, our party, Umkhonto weSizwe Party, has since its inception committed itself to preserving the sovereignty.
Lento uZuma namhlanje ayijikayo eMorocco eyothengisa idabi ngenxa yokuthi mhlambi khona into ayifunayo ejika and all of that dizawunicacisela apha ukuthi uMandela zanga trainwe eMorocco wa trainwe eAlgeria lento uZuma xa kapha eyozicengezela for whatever he wants and selling out. He changes our revolution and our solidarity into something else. Lo muntu bingumongameli we-ANC lo wenza izimanga akana 10 years emkile ku-ANC akathengisi wa. If you come to think that this is the man who was at the helm of...
On the first issue around why he would have gone there, we go back to what Floyd Shivambu said when he left the MK. One of the reasons he gave was that this issue around Morocco arose and there was money. So the real point is how much did the MK party get to get them to do what they did now, which is really a serious turnaround on the issue of the Sahrawi Republic. As Prof was saying, this is a standing position of both the ANC and the South African government, even when Zuma was leading that government. So Floyd is the answer to that question.
Earlier on, about the allegations that were made by Floyd Shivambu with regard to possible funding that was given to the MK party by Morocco. I responded by saying we did not make those allegations. Those allegations were made by Mr. Shivambu, so anyone who wants any details would go to Mr. Shivambu. But to the extent that reference was made to Morocco, I wish to make the following comments. They must be understood in that context. Morocco is an African state, so the pain that is felt by the Moroccans is also our pain. Morocco and Western Sahara region used to be one country. Western Sahara was a province of Morocco, which is very rich in minerals. It was the French and the Spanish who got involved and subdivided Morocco. And then they split it into two, the main Morocco, the greater Morocco, and the Western Sahara. Western Sahara is a very small country with a population of less than 1 million. So the only interest that these Western colonizers have in the Western Sahara is the minerals of the people of Western Sahara. It is in our eyes and in the eyes of President Zuma, one country. And we were seeing exactly the same pattern here in South Africa with those who support Cape and...
Guys, ebekhuluma iqiniso njengoba besimjaja simjaji hebethuna nomfana wasemaholisi. The Karl Marx of Maholis. Hayibo. Ma MK, niyayazi lento yase Morocco uba ithini? Hayi siyathula sibhekile guys. We watch sibhekile nathi asas.
Morocco. But then the Algerian government was quite taken aback by that. But you come here opportunistically when we are training the real people who live here, who are facing colonization every day to be the one that liberate themselves. Then you come through remote control to take their land again. So you are the secondary colonizer. Whereas this country may be yours historically. But in the context of what's happening now, with the people who live there themselves wanting to liberate themselves. So Morocco is becoming a bit opportunistic here. So that's what happened. And I think this issue, when ANC activists discussed, for us to arrive at clear resolutions, we must be able to also diagnose these issues. We must not just teach our comrades to go viva. Vivu Mandela namnga viva. No, we must go to the issues and understand where do they come from. But then over and above that, Algeria has since clashed with Morocco over that. This even led to the war between Algeria and Morocco in 1976. It became known as the 16 Years End War, which finished in 1991 with Morocco winning it, basically pushing back Algeria. And the attitudes between the two countries have always been hardened over the question of Western Sahara and all that. And I think this is some of the issues that does not come out clear when we articulate these particular positions. I think then the UN came up with a decision that there must be a referendum which the people of the occupied territory are going to decide who is going to govern them. So that we can lay this issue to rest of the stalemate, whether we support Morocco and Western Sahara. So we do not say we hate any country even there. We're just calling for a referendum for people to have their own self-independence, but we support Polisario as the people who lived on the land for all the time. You see, we hope that when the referendum comes, it is won by Polisario. But then the United Nations commissioned different studies to make sure that that referendum happened. This was called the MINUSO Commission, the United Nations missions in Western Sahara. And they discovered that there's a lot of movement. It's a highly nomadic area. And it has become difficult for people to decide as to who is going to actually lead them, how they are going to vote. So then they commission a lot of special envoys. They are called the Baker reports, Baker 1, Baker 2, Baker 3 reports, and several other special envoys. And these special envoys came to the determination that the only way to solve this problem is to bring Algeria to be a discussant in the discussions, because Algeria has always claimed that it is not part, it's an observer. They said, no, the only way to solve this is for you to be in. So Algeria was forced to go and discuss as to finding solutions. And the reason it was called, it was when Morocco made a recommendation to Western Sahara that they want an autonomy, right? And then the people of Western Sahara were a bit amenable to that until Algeria says, no, you are discussing settlement, not autonomy. So that's what influenced USA to say, the United Nations to say, come, discuss the issue. So that's why you find that many of the other parties, some are liberation movements, they have since taken a neutral position or an impartial position related to that over the development of this geopolitics. Right, so that's what happened on the issue of Western Sahara and Morocco. But on their Arabization, it is always there, you know. That's why some of them participate in the Arab League and all that, you know, and so on. But I have not heard that they are saying they are not Africans, honestly. That's why they fought back, the Morocco, to come back into the AU. And fortunately, I was there in the meeting of the AU where this discussion was taking place, and I saw who supported them, who did not. And eventually Morocco was admitted back as a member of the AU in 2017. And I'm sure this also led to our decision to upgrade relations with them as South Africa. So there is, so I'm saying the mobilization of international relations must continue. And our ANC members must have a liberal thinking in terms of how they approach international relations, because one, you cannot weaponize international relations because we are always an outsider. Yeah. So that's the concept. Yeah.
So Western Sahara is not a country. Western Sahara is a figment of our imagination that we think, because those people could be darker, they could be looking like us. They are the most marginalized in that southern western part of the country, and that's why people maybe fondly resonate with their plight. This is just me assuming, But the ANC and Morocco as a political stance, do you got any examples of how ANC intervened whenever such happens?
No, look, Western Sahara, we recognize it as a country in South Africa.